we're not gonna lie. It's been a long night.
It's been a long night.
We're trying to figure out the YouTube thing.
We are.
We've done it. There's 2 videos. This will be the 3rd. Hell or High Water.
Hell or High Water.
Which is kind of a funny...
Yeah, funny way to put it. Because this week, we're talking about a cursed lake.
Ooh.
Oh my
haunted,
God.
maybe? Cursed? Oh my gosh. Spooky.
And cursed for very specific reasons. But, first off, welcome to Freaks of a Feather. I'm Emily Wooten. This is...
Mary Boom. Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Yeah. Did we have a few drinks? Yes. Am I feeling a little lightheaded? Yes. But
yeah,
we're going to get through it.
We're gonna do this.
I want to start this off with saying that I don't like lakes. And
No.
you know why. Because in East Tennessee, most of the man-made lakes smell like rotten fish.
Yeah.
They're quite literally filled with radioactive fish. There are signs everywhere saying, please do not catch and eat these fish.
Yeah.
Because there's a nuclear power plant.
Yeah.
Around a lot of these man-made lakes. And,
yeah. Which reminds me, we had a friend, okay? You know what I'm talking about. We all went to the same lake. A lot of the high schoolers and teenagers did.
This place is so scummy.
It is, but...
It's so scummy.
She gets herpes, right? I'm just going to say, she gets herpes. But she claims that she got it from the lake. She's like, oh yeah, I've got a really bad radioactive case of herpes ever since we went to the lake.
I don't know how I got herpes. It's a mystery. It must come from... It's not a mystery, Tanya. It's not a mystery.
There are boys with us. Boys with you before, I'm sure. And this happened. Not to slut shame, but let's not blame it on the lake. Because you gave all of us anxiety because we were also young.
Well, it was like she had a big sore in her mouth. And I was like, I think it was me. I was like, what's up?
Yeah.
Hey. And she was like, I don't know. I think I got it from the lake. Like,
do you think she was... We should have called her the Lady of the Lake after this. You know why?
Not the lady. Well,
she wasn't
not to be mean.
But to dive into our story. We've got a story about Lake Lanier in northern Georgia. So
the cradle of God's country.
Yeah, it's the South, okay?
It's the South, and there's nothing better than making fun of some Southern men. Southern religious men. It's my favorite pastime.
And it's very easy to make fun of the people that are, living in these parts still, given the horrible history of this area. But we'll get into that later.
Right. I've met plenty of friendly, well-meaning hillbillies. Mm-hmm. I've also met quite a handful of knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing assholes.
Yeah.
The latter of which kind of plays a huge part in this story, but...
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead. Lady of the Lake, you said?
Yeah. I think a lot of people have heard about it. There's been some movies about it, but I don't think I've seen any that are based out of Lake Lanier in northern Georgia. This is about 60 miles outside of Atlanta, okay? So the whole tale, this whole lore starts in 1958, which is a year or two after they constructed this lake itself. It's a man-made reservoir.
Okay.
All that stuff, okay?
All right, so what's
these 2 young ladies, Delia Mae Parker Young and Susie Roberts, were at a dance in town. Well, they decided to leave a little early. Don't know why, but on their way home, they stopped to get gas, and they decided, let's not pay for it. Skipsies! So they speed from the gas station like a bat out of hell, and they make it to a bridge that goes over Lake Lanier. And what happens on the bridge? They spin out of control, and they plummet into the murky waters of the lake. From this story...
I don't like that.
A lot of creepy lore, unexplained situations of people seeing a lady in a blue dress. floating over the water on the shoreline, whatever. What was Miss Delia May Parker Young wearing that night? A blue dress.
Mm-hmm.
A blue dress, Emily. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
it's
what?
It's wild.
They also said she was missing her hands. So why?
Yeah. She appeared, handless.
The ghost.
Yeah.
Huh.
Why not just armless? The hands are still there, but armless.
I don't get it.
Just floating hands. I don't know.
Just harmless, just a pair of floating hands.
Yeah. I mean, they also say, there's a figure of a dark shadow on the lake that's got a big pole to navigate through the murky water and soil down there, and then a lantern to guide the way to see through the
like
mist.
the river Styx.
Yeah, so there's some creepy stuff that people are seeing. Also, some tragedies on the lake.
My name is Jebediah. I'll be your ferryman across this here the Lanier River Styx.
It's just another night in Georgia. Sun goes down and the ghosts come out at Lake Lanier. Oddly enough, I was actually born really close to this area, and I had never heard about this lake. And I'm like, oh man, one of these counties popped up. I'm like, that's on my birth certificate. I'm from this fucking area. Well, not always, but
what was it, Lumpkin County?
There's a Lumpkin County. I think the modern day town around Lake Lanier is Gainesville, Georgia.
Okay.
So if you go there, if you're from there, you know, okay?
Well,
yeah, there's a lot of lore. And the weird thing about these two young girls is a year later, a fisherman found a decomposed body, but it's like the early 60s, late 50s. They don't really have the technology to do forensic like we do today. So they don't really know who she is until the 1990s, when they find an old Ford sedan submerged at the lake bottom with her friend's body in it. And then, only then, did they identify both girls.
Okay, but hear me out now. I've watched enough true crime to know that a body in a body of water decomposes pretty fast.
Yeah, a year. Well,
so
I would think the skeletal remains, for sure. Even a year later,
it might be the wrong body.
But they say that the waters are very still there. They're not very turbulent. A lot of swimmers swim across the lake. They can race in competitions because it's still straight water.
Race across the lakes in Tennessee.
Islands in it and stuff like that.
You'll get radioactive herpes if you race across the lake in Tennessee. But in Georgia, it's cleaner.
People have ran across some issues too while they're on the water. Your pontoon boat or speedboat or jet ski can get caught up in debris in the lake. Well, this isn't all too uncommon with lakes, but
I hate it.
It's weird when,
I hate
absolute complete tree trunks and it's just been stumped off at the top.
Fucking hate it. I hate it. I ran into an upturned tree, so the root system all scraggly and gnarled like witches' fingers. I ran into it as a kid. I was like, ow, there's a dead body.
It's a slimy tree. Slimy roots. It's just, I'm sure it's a lovely ecosystem for a lot of things.
A lot of radioactive herpes-infested catfish.
Yeah. Our lakes, for sure. I don't know about Lanier, but I will tell you, it does have a very interesting history. There's been a lot of accidents on this lake, an odd amount. So it's been there since 1956. So we've got around 70 years of this lake being created. They dammed up the Chattahoochee River and then flooded a bunch of valleys. Well, under these valleys were actually thriving towns, one of which is Oscarville, which was a Black community that was thriving for generations, actually. And they decided, well, let's not divert around this valley where this thriving community is. Let's just flood it. But how are we going to get the people out? Well, this, my friends, is a very dark turn in the story. You thought ghosts were bad enough, but this
This is maybe
this is
why.
much worse. This is why it's cursed, maybe.
I just, yeah. So let me guess. Were they just like very kind about it and be like, oh, well, we'll pay you what your land is worth, you know?
Oh
We'll
no.
take care of, we'll take care of you to relocate. No, it was pretty much like, take it or leave it. You're getting the fuck out.
Oh yeah. They were not helpful about any of this. What the amount of money that they offered people was just nickels and dimes compared to something that you really can't put a price on.
You can put a price on it. They weren't going to pay the actual price for it.
Well, to them, the people that lived there, it was priceless. This was lush, fertile land. They had their livelihoods invested in this land. This is how they made money. So even with the chump change that the government provided them was not enough for them to live on once they vacated.
Yeah, and it just so happened that it was a thriving community of people of color, huh?
Yeah.
Just suspicious,
It was. And here's a quote I can share. At first, the government assured landowners that they were being paid for the true value of the land and buildings. But residents found out that, through hard... I'm losing my place. Hold on. I'll restart the quote. At first, the government assured landowners that they were being paid the true value of the land and the buildings of everything. But like I said, you can't put a price on generations of memories, hard work, and deep roots.
Mm-hmm.
So in a book called Underwater Ghost Towns of North Georgia, because there was more than just Oscarville.
This isn't unique.
This happens in many states.
All over, the South, yeah.
There was a host of emotions that accompanied the talk of relocation. Of course, anger, resentment, fear, anxiety, and just apprehension in general. To them, their land was priceless. They uprooted 700 families and sold a total of 56,000 acres to the government. And then they built the dam on the Chattahoochee River to form Lake Lanier.
Which is named after the man who wrote the Chattahoochee River song.
Yeah, Sidney Lanier was an American poet that made that.
Well, I mean, Tears of Our Enemies Lake doesn't really have great ring to it.
Yeah.
So.
And the thing is, like, before there was even a black community there in Oscarville, this was Native American territory. Mm-hmm. This land was sacred. They had burial grounds. The community of Oscarville had over 20 cemeteries. Now, when they had to survey this land and clear it out and take care of the properties and structures that existed in these thriving towns, they ran into an issue. Well, this is a lot of work. What's the minimal amount of effort that we can put into this so that we can get our job done? Well,
we'll just relocate some of them.
Yeah, I mean, some families got a nice spot, along the shoreline, or even the graves, right? So they supposedly relocated as many as they could identify.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure white people weren't very nice to black people in their heritage or their family or their remains.
I mean...
Same with Native Americans back then.
If history tells us anything, they weren't indeed.
No.
So,
yeah, a lot of them were relocated to the shorelines. So, I mean, there's also, like, strange stories of, ghosts or shadow figures along the trees at the shorelines of, Lake Lanier. There's
even more than that. There's people who have dived in Lake Lanier and they've found graves.
Yeah, there is a show that I found of divers going to this underwater ghost town, if you will. Underneath Lake Lanier was left a speed track. They removed the bleachers because they're made of aluminum and they would float, but they left the racetrack intact. Wooden structures they would take down because the wood would float. But cement foundations,
Brick,
block buildings,
yeah.
brick, all these things remain up until a certain height, right? They didn't want boats to necessarily catch on it, but flooding the area doesn't guarantee that things aren't going to get knocked loose.
Yeah.
And create issues for multiple scenarios.
So gross thinking about
yeah,
swimming around an empty, like imagine an old schoolhouse, like a brick schoolhouse, just swimming around.
It's creepy. I just don't like the idea of being on a boat at this lake knowing
that what's underneath you. Yeah,
and
what's underneath you, the history of it. Yeah, fun.
Yeah. I mean, more haunting than the Lady of the Lake or any of these stories that people like to talk about, or the mishaps of hitting, an uprooted tree or a tree stump, because literally they didn't even take some of the trees down. They just left them up and chopped off the tops. And people have been in accidents where they've died. I mean, there's over 70 years of it being open. 700 people have died. 27 bodies not recovered. That's a lot.
Can you imagine that? You're going on spring break. You're going to go jump into the lake and you get impaled in the asshole with a tree branch.
I'm sure it's happening. Lake Lanier. Get impaled by a tree branch underwater.
Get impaled up through your organs on a tree branch. Oh, God, but
let's get into the more haunting side of this tale, which is the racist history of Lake Lanier.
Yeah, because not only did they come in and pretty much erase this whole entire town, but this town had a lot of... They saw a lot of horror.
They did. Oscarville at one point was a bustling turn-of-the-century community. It was a beacon for Black culture in the South, and at the time they had 1,100 Black people that owned land and operated businesses in Forsyth County alone. This county still exists up and around Lake Lanier, and from what I hear, it's still pretty racist, that area, the white people that lived around there. But things really hit ahead.
Well, In
1912. Think about 1912 with segregation and all these things that are still in place, and slave ownership and all of this stuff. Nearby Oscarville.
No, they were emancipated.
I'm not sure exactly the date. We'll have to cut that part out.
We'll have to cut that out.
Yeah. But
1912.
1912.
Well, hell, 2022.
Yeah.
Forsyth County probably isn't.
Yeah, I imagine no.
Suspect in some places.
But everything was seemingly well with this town, and they were able to exist for generations. It did well, and really didn't have this threat towards like their community being driven away until this incident on September 9th of 1912.
But you know that the knuckle dragging morons that were around the town did not appreciate that someone different from them was thriving. How dare they?
How fucking dare
How dare they?
I mean, they were probably much more successful and fortunate than most.
Jesus. I mean, me and my uncle daddy, yeah, we have a good life, but I don't want nobody to have one better than me.
No. That's how they felt. And when an 18-year-old white woman named May Crow was raped and murdered near Oscarville, white folk in the area were very quick to assume that it was 4 young Black men, okay? Some just teenagers. There was Oscar and Tressie Jane Daniel, only 18 and 22 respectively, and their 16-year-old cousin Ernest Knox. And with them was Robert Big Rob Edwards, who was just 24.
And I want to just say, since when, and I'm guessing this very progressive surrounding area, when have they ever given a shit about a woman getting assaulted or murdered? Just so happened to give a convenient excuse to enact extreme violence on a population.
Oh, of course, right?
Interesting.
Well, Edwards, Big Rob, who was 24, was arrested for Crow's rape and murder and was taken to jail in Cumming, Georgia, the seat of Forsyth County in that area. A day later, a white mob, coined the Night Riders, broke into the jail, dragged him through the streets, and hung him from a telephone pole right outside of the courthouse.
Okay, so we... Okay. Right.
A month later, Ernest Knox, Oscar Daniel appeared in court for the rape and murder of May Crow. They were found guilty by jury in just over an hour. Some 5,000 people gathered to watch the teenagers being hung. 5,000. Yeah, it's real dark, and it doesn't stop there because these Night Riders have it out for Oscarville now. Because what happens? Another young white lady gets raped and murdered. So they're like, they were like, we're going to take care of this community. So all these Night Riders start going door to door.
Don't call these troglodytes Night Riders. These are fucking...
It's a white mob.
Jebediahs.
They just start lynching people. They're carrying torches, guns, burning down black businesses, churches, and demanding all the black citizens to vacate the county.
So we have like a Tulsa massacre situation.
Yeah, it's horrible. They burned down all their churches, which was just, the soul of their communities, and drove a lot of people away. So when it came to creating a lake, of course, people in that area were not too worried about Oscarville being vacated and drowned out. Shit. Yeah.
So now all of their ancestors, all of their friends that like to go out on the yacht, listen to yacht rock, there's nothing I love more than making fun of a southern redneck.
Oh yeah.
I think I've said this before, I've met plenty of hillbillies that are nice, but these knuckle draggers, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're still white trash.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's just a little bit of a consolation that the ancestors of these Night Riders are
still there.
These mouth looks like a spiral staircase. Got scabies infested in their groin.
Yes.
Race car enthusiast pieces of shit just scratching their nuts on the shore of Lake Lanier, just and drinking Bud Light.
Accidents happen, and most lakes, right?
So one of these fuckers gets impaled through the ass.
A lot more
by
accidents,
a tree branch.
A lot more accidents happen here, and the dangers are higher in general because they really didn't survey and grade the soil and remove all the structures that would be problematic over time for a lake that was equipped for bigger boats and stuff.
They were really, they were really insistent on getting that in there. They wanted to move fast.
Yeah.
Interesting. 1956. What else is going around 1956? Maybe the Civil Rights Movement.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in getting that lake put in. Well, if you go to Lake Lanier, I hope you can... I don't know. I hope you don't enjoy it.
Yeah. I don't think it's a place that you can go and enjoy given the history. I think it should be a place of mourning. It should be a place of remembrance. Not people on their boats during July 4th, but chugging, 99 bananas.
99 bananas. Got me a nice Jack Daniels. Me and my husband are gonna go ride the Wave Runners on 4th of July.
Oh no, my husband's face was ripped off by
a herpes-ridden catfish.
There was this woman, she's half lake creature, half girl. It was so strange.
God, I hate. I just.
Man. But a story like this it's one of many. It's one of many in the United States. If it's not a natural lake, it is a man-made lake, and this was what they did eradicate Black communities in the past.
Yeah.
It's a very, very sobering truth, but it's
truth.
important to recognize it and share these stories because,
it happened, and we don't want it to happen again.
No.
And, oh my God, can you imagine if they drained Lake Lanier?
Well, in 2009, the water recessed to a certain point to where it actually shone the racetrack that had been submerged under the lake since the, mid-50s. That's crazy.
I don't know what it is about, like, underwater exploration.
Yeah.
Freaks me out. You can't see, like, 5 feet in front of your face.
It's not like the ocean. It's like...
Well, the ocean even, like, they show people swimming around the Titanic, like, ooh, what's around this corner? No.
No, hell no. Hell no.
No.
I don't want to fuck with being in planes that much. I don't want to be over a big body of water like that. It's uneasy.
I don't want to, no.
It's not a fun situation.
People are like... Do you want to go scuba diving? No, absolutely not.
You won't go to the lake on my pontoon boat and drink a bunch of Bud Light and listen to...
I mean, how many times have you watched, like, Unsolved Mysteries or some sort of crime TV show where a child goes missing near the lake and they get out the cadaver dogs and they're always led right to the lake.
Yeah, just the shoreline there.
The kids in there.
Well, let's get the team with the scuba divers.
Yeah, and then they get the scuba divers, they get the people that dredge the bottom of the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
There's a job for everyone.
I mean, there are people who dress in a special apparatus and clean out the tar pits, the La Brea tar pits, like rescue people, like rescue bodies and stuff out of the. Yeah.
Jesus, no thanks. I hope they get paid well for that because
they paid very well. Well, this is a shorter one, and it's a more grim one.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in, whether that's on the, just the airwaves or YouTube.
Yeah.
Please comment, like, subscribe. We really appreciate it, and we really thank all of you who are just so loyal, and we see you.
Yeah. And now you can see us, so.
Yeah, and we love you.
Thanks for, all the patience as we transition and make this a little bit different.
Yeah.
Still listen to us where you listen to us. If you want to watch the YouTube videos, you're lounging at home, watch the YouTube videos. We'd love it.
It's fun.
Yeah. Check us out.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And you get to see my cleavage the whole entire time. Yeah. What a treat. All right. Bye.
Bye.